Good evening, morning, good day. This is YieldMaxMindset coming to you with a portfolio review. All right, so first up, I'm in a public place, so it's very likely you will occasionally hear some noise or some sounds in the background. Hopefully, it's not too distracting for you all, and hopefully, you all can hear me very well without me getting any louder. I may try to hold the mic up um, closer to my mouth, but so yeah, let's get it. This is gonna be year two, week 13. All right, as you can see, all right, as you can see, our investment portfolio now is at 21,408. All right, it is now um 12:11 Eastern Standard Time and 11:12 Central Standard Time. Yeah. All right. So live, we're down almost $100 today in our investment account. We're down 1360. For the week, we're up $2,253. For the month, we're down $35,781. Let's go back to that month right quick. Yeah, it's been a steady decline. All right. For the 3 months, we're down $20,049. Year to date, we're down 21,365. For the past year, we're down 35,716. And all time, we're down $6,010. Now, that is not, excuse me. Let's do the same thing for our cash account, which we don't have much history, right? But for the day, we're down $11.31. For the past week, we're down $15. For the past month, we're down $15. And that's probably going to be consistent for the rest because we don't have much history. All right. Let's go back to our investment count. All right. You can see our buying power is at 41,525. Our margin of error is 64,717. We've used $23,192,000 in margin. Our margin percentage is at 48%, and our portfolio buffer is at 10,368. All right. Our available to withdraw from this account sits at $5,914. All right. Interest is at $5.25. We have a daily interest of $3.24. All right. So let's go our positions that are in our individual account here. All right. So first up is ICY with Bitwise. Bitwise closed Friday at $20.60. Our market value is at $10,300. We're down $1,023 for an average cost of $22.65 for 500 shares. We have pending dividends, which we will get, I believe, on the 2nd. We have 500 shares at $2.59 for $1,297.47. All right. Next, we have SoFi. SoFi closed. Well, SoFi now is at 28.62. We're down $1.10 in the overnight market. Our market value is $28,610, and we are up in total return $850. All right, for an average cost of $27.79 for 1,000 shares. All right, we got Robinhood here. Robinhood is at 122. It's currently down 579 in the overnight market. Our market value is $2,454. We're up $130. Our average cost is $116 for 20 shares. All right, next we have Grayscale Ethereum ETF, ETCO, closed Friday at 2029. The market value is at $1,014.69. We're down $7.06 for average cost of $20.44 for 50 shares. I believe we got dividends the other week on this. So we had 50 shares at 80 cents, $40.08. All right, next we got NEOS, BTCY. I mean, not BTCY, BTCI. It's at 44.95, down $1.24 in the overnight market. Market value is at $1,123. We're up $8.75. Average cost of $4.60 for 25 shares. Did I mention? All right. Thought we got some dividends for this one, BTCI. Let's see here. It shows the order fulfilled. I thought we had some dividends for this position pending Friday. I thought it was about $40. Did I not just see that? Anyways, moving on. All right, so next up is our cash account. It's sitting at $4,982, right? We have cash in this account, $504.70. It's earning interest at 3.5%. I believe we earned, well, showing $2.63. I think the last pay had got to $2.38. So next payday will be December the 31st. So we're going to have a full month to inquire on our cash available in this position. It could be less, it could be more by the time December 31st roll around. But if it's more, then we should make more money. All right, so let's cover our positions in that account. Once again, we have ICY in this account, $20.60. Our market value is at, is this no, it's the same one. Hold on. Hold on. All right, here we go. I'm not sure why I had that. All right, so Bitwise, and this was, see, it's still saying, hold on. Is this cash, my cash account? There we go. All right. Don't know why I was doing that. All right, here we go. Oh, I could have changed it right there. But anyway, a market value here is $515, and we're down 27.05. So average cost of $21.68 for 25 shares. And we have pending dividends of 25 shares at $2.59 for $64.87. All right, next we have Netflix is at $106 right now, down 89 cents in the overnight market. Where we are. Why is this not doing right? All right, here we go. No, why it's not doing right. All right. Market value is $1,666. We're up $21.34 for average cost of $104.56 for 10 shares. All right, next we got, all right, here we go. We have Granite shares, COYY. It's at $10.10. Market value is at 505. We're up $7.64. Right, my average cost is $9.95 for 50 shares. We have dividends pending here. 50 shares at 28 cents, $13.75. And this is looking like it's going to be paid out on the 2nd as well. So that's going to be Tuesday. All right, next. We have Granite shares NVYY. It's at 1965. We're down 21 cents. Market value is at 491. We're down $29.25 for average cost of $20.82 for 25 shares. We have pending dividends here as well. 25 shares at 39 cents, $9.76. And this is going to begin our dividend payment for the month of December. And we'll probably have some more added by Wednesday, not necessarily in this account, but in our investment portfolio. And it depends on how SoFi does. If it gets up to about $32 or $31, I may go ahead and sell that profit and then use that borrow money plus the profit, transfer the profit over to this cash account. All right. So this one is AMYY 2282. All right. Market value is at 570. We're down $4.60 for average cost of $23 for 25 shares. We have pending dividends as well. All right, so it's 25 shares at 42 cents, $10.50. All right, next we have NVIDIA, NVIT. This is for the target 25. Supposedly testing this out, getting our feet wet in this. This is one of the YieldMax funds supposed to have appreciation, preserving the NAV, and an annual return of 25%. Of course, none of that's guaranteed, but that's where it's supposed to be doing, right? All right, so it's $48.62. Market value is $486. We're down $10.82. Our average cost is $49.70 for 10 shares. I thought this was supposed to pay out. Is this it here? No, I'm showing what we purchased. Let me hit refresh on this. All right, see here. Well, I thought we're supposed to get paid coming December the 1st. This is supposed to be paying on Mondays. And I don't see it showing any pending dividends here. But it's supposed to pay out on Mondays, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so. All right, so next we got YieldMax YieldMax Mister strategy. Same thing as before, 25% annual. Supposed to be preserving the NAV. We'll see how that works out. Testing the waters. All right, so hold on. Let's change this to cash. All right, so 46.35. Market value is 231. We're down 99 cents. Average cost is 46.55 for 5 shares. And I don't see any pending dividends. But if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was supposed to be paying out the 1st. I could be mistaken. All right, next we got Bitwise XRP. It's at 24.46. Market value is 611. 611.50. I turned the volume up a little bit here. It was down. So hopefully that will compensate for me trying not to be too loud in a public place here. All right. So we're up $23.87. Average cost is $23.51 for 25 shares. I don't see any pending dividends. All right. I don't know about this one, if this one's going to pay dividends, but I'm thinking it will. All right. Next, we're going to our cash account. All righty. So here we have cost basis is $6,837. I potentially have about Anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000. I'm getting ready to deposit into this account. Uh, I was gifted with a little cash, $500 from a family member as a gift, and I had some extra pay. I paid my vacation. I canceled my vacation for this month, and I'm going to use that money to pay out to increase my position in this account here. I don't think I'm going to put it in my Robinhood account. I believe I'm going to put it in this account because I'm trying to get this account to work and get to about $1,000 a month. I think right now, based on my estimation, is I'm looking at about eight. Even if I can get 800 a month right now, that's going to cover at least one bill and three-quarters of another bill. And so eventually, hopefully, I can get this up to where it's producing $1,000 a month. I know I don't know if the thesis is still the same, but when I first started these, basically for every 15,000, if you got into high yield ETF, you could generate about $1,000 a month. 30,000, 2,000, right? 60,000, 4,000, and so forth, right? So we'll see. All right. Um, Also, check this out. What is this? Oh, what was my position here? At Scavana. So I know we had Misty and we had Carvana's not one. What was that position here? Don't remember. I have to go back and look at the old video, but it looked like this. It's showing 3 shares here, so this is probably part of the reverse split. I just don't remember what was there. Carvana. Oh, no, that's SMCY right here. So we should have Misty doing a conversion, which will give us, should have 4 shares, right? After the conversion, I think it's doing a 10 for 1, right? So we'll know when the market opens tomorrow. I think everything should open with a reverse split. But anyway, moving right along. All right, so this video should be pretty short since I'm in a public place. I'm not going to hold it that long because I need to get back in there to my mother. All right, so all right, let's go to our let's hit our Q&A. We'll be done with this. We ain't gonna hold this long, right? All right. All right, so this is last week's video. All right, so we got Maxie Joe says, sell short for defensive. I replied, do you have a tutorial? Because I don't know how. All right, Tales of Julio says, why ICO? It's dropped $60. He also said, some safer lower expense funds like GPEX and GPKIT may be as your core to start. Up to the right says NAV erosion. I said IOC is Bitwise version of Coney, so until Coinbase starts to move and returns back to its glory days, the position that pays Coney will be down. Like pay that Coney will be down. I think I was trying to say pay like Coney. All right, I said I really like the distribution for ICOI has paid over the past 6 months. I also believe that once we have a recovery in the market, that it will be the highest paying ETF out there as it has shown over the past 6 months. And then we will get and then we will and then it will get me back to where I was before I sold off quicker. I also replied, both of those positions look good. They're just a little bit low paying for me right now. I need some bangers, but thank you for sharing. Up to the right said, come on, man. Why we got to use those? Oh, I said to him, he was saying nav erosion. And I said, man, what we got to use those 2 words? Up to the right says, I don't like them either, but I can't believe I actually said it. I can't believe you. I mean, what do you mean you said you don't like them either? You can't believe that you said it. I mean, they're conservative paying ETFs. They're good. If you want to invest 30, 50,000 and get $200 or $300 a month, that's cool. Oh, let's see what they are right quick. Cause G picks. Let's see here. G I X. Let's go by Goldman Sachs. Okay, so it's $52, basically $53, paying 7.99%, 37%. So it pays once a month. I mean, that's a consistent dividend, right? So let's say it's averaging 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say it's averaging 36. It's $53, right? So if you were to put 30,000 in there, right? Divided by 53,000, you got 566 shares times 35. Oh, it's less than I thought. It's it's basically $200 off 30,000. So yeah, I couldn't do that just right because right now 30,000 divided by I believe it was $23 on ICOI at the time, right? So that's 1,304 times this last distribution here was 2.595. So you see that, people? That's why. I can take $30,000 to put in a position like GPX, right? And get $200 a month. Or I can take $30,000 and put it in a position like ICOI and get 3384. Now, will that sustain itself? Will it recover? Bitwise, ICOI is still new. Um, so I'm just trying it out. All right. I'm not putting down his position. I just want to show the difference. You know, my thing is I don't need to use too much margin to acquire these positions. I need to use margin, pay that margin down to about 10% or 5%, right? Before I go making another purchase. I was just steady adding, boom, boom, at 80%, 90%. And so then when we had this um, liquidation, this red market, the bear market, I didn't have no recovery time to get dividends to give me no buffer, and therefore I got margin call, and so I liquidated everything because I was trying to save my initial capital that was around 28 to 30,000. So therefore I had to do that. So that was the reasoning behind that. All right, so let's move on to some new positions here. All right, guys, I'm back. Um, I guess an hour and a half has gone by. Um, like I say, I was in public and someone we got to talk about investing and was talking about a lot of investing from crypto to ETFs. Even got to talking about UFOs and stuff. I mean, yeah. So I'm back to recording. I've only gotten 23 minutes of recording, but let's pick up where I was at, if I can remember. Up to the left says, "Come on, man, why we gotta use?" No, I said why we gotta use the words. He said, "I don't like them either, but I can't believe I actually said it." All right, move on because I got to get back into the room, make sure my mom's okay. All right, so Mike Lesser says, "I tried to never miss these weekly reviews fresh out the gate, homie. Sitting here entertained with you, waiting on UPS delivery for a free ounce of gold bar that I earn as a bonus from my billion credit card. At least holidays, uh, overspending got its perks." Laughing out loud. I said, "I hear you, my brother. Thanks for watching. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is that you told me you were waiting on UPS to deliver you a gold bar." I said, "Did you get your gold bar? If so, that's the news of the day." He said, "I sure did, dude. Some credit cards got some sick bennies. I think they're still offering 0% interest in case you want to look it up." All right, let's see here. I said all our stocks are up 5 to 10%. No, that's him saying us. Yeah, he said all our stocks are up 10%. Whoop, whoop. I said I love this gold, man. This is golden, fam. Um, let's move on. All right, I'm gonna pause this video. I need to go check. Need to go check up my loved one right quick. All right, I'm back for a brief moment. Um, so Hernandez says, so what happened to all this 10K per month gains? It's it's just paid margin. I said I believe most of that was reinvested to the dividends because I only withdrew about 11K out of the total account. I think the thing that you have to understand is that the value of Coney was down about 65, Misty 14, and Oldie probably down about 10. I would have to go back and watch my short videos to be absolute certain. For the last 2 weekly videos would have that information. He said, I'm still investing in them. I have not had any margin calls yet, and I kept dumping more money into this. Maybe one day I'll be a YouTube channel, but maybe once I double my portfolio again. I said, so, okay, this isn't the first time you double your portfolio. That's great, man. Keep up the good work of making that money. Um, code 77799 says, I suggest HOOW, the highest dividend and rebound potential. It's moving with Bitcoin mostly. W pay less dividends but less volatile. PTL, NVD, blocks, and CHPY, no NAV erosion. Maggie, also no NAV erosion. Those are my top picks. They're the top dogs now. HOOW beats them all in dividends, even when the share price is dropping. Keep posting those videos. Yes, so I think the ones he listed are definitely some of the top ones. I'm seeing that on, I believe, on the top dividend ETF, where it's showing you ones that have no NAV erosion. I said, first of all, I think I'm offended. You did not list one YieldMax fund. That's the kind of stuff to get you banned. Just kidding, I said, homie. I did make some moves today. I'll probably drop the video tomorrow sometime. I saw CHPY. I said, thank you for your suggestion. He said, waiting for it. I can't remember if I dropped the video or not now that I'm reading this. Let's see. Dividend set says, are you going to be more conservative going forward? He's got 5 likes. I said, yes, I'm going to be a goody two shoes. I said, that's cap. I said, I'm still going to be aggressive, but not reckless. Up to the right said, did Coney at least pay your initial capital? I said, no, only captured about 57%. Um, I plan to get back in. I had plans to get back in, but I sold. Oh, I know what I forgot to show you all. I don't have much battery life. So I've been showing my Excel spreadsheet. I'm all out of sorts here, y'all. Um, Leo Love says, never use margin, my brother. Always put your money like your podcast. Okay, he says, never use, yeah, never use margin, my brother. Always spend your own money. He said, I like your podcast, but take your time. Establish a snowball effect. It works in the long run. Forget about the purity. He said, forget about that purity, light skinned sister that you want. Take your time. Use your money. Everything will fall into place with time. Maurice says, margin is okay in small amounts, a few thousand here and there. What did I say here? I said, Leo, you know I can't do that. Cash money would take me another 20 years. That's too long. I need something to happen in the next 2 to 3 years, and margin will get me there faster. I can achieve it on. I can have achieved it on my own. All right, thank you. I know how to use the margin. I just overloaded myself being greedy. I would definitely try not to make that mistake again. All right, I'm gonna pause this again. Okay, I'm back again. I'm not quite sure where I left off at. I think I was here when he's talking about the light skinned sisters. um, I said, I can't do that. Cash money. Take me another 20 years. That's too long. I need something in the next 2 to 3 years, and margin will get me there. It's called OPM. It's called debt. This is the only way you can really get there. I know people like, oh, you get. I ain't worried about the ETFs. I just got margin call. I said I can have achieve it on my own. I said I know how to use margin. I just overloaded myself being greedy. I would definitely try not to make that mistake again going forward. I said you had me cracking up over here about the light skinned sister brother. Knows Delighter, she's hard to resist. You remember Samson and Delighter? Delighter. I said now, of course, I like them all and all the variations that God have created them. But he was talking about them light skins. I was like, man, this dude reading my heart. I'm excuse my mind. But anyway, I like them all, man. I don't discriminate. All right, let's get over to the next thing. Let's see here. Oh man, we got quite a few. Let's see if we can get this done. Eddie says, nice content. I said, thank you, sir. Appreciate you viewing the content. Let's see here. We got, because we need to get to that Excel spreadsheet. I totally skipped it. Where the dollar at? And I'm assuming he's talking about the dividends that are paying over $1. Now you have to remember these weekly ETFs, if they're paying over 50 cents, then they're averaging $1 a month. If they pay over 50 cents per week, then they're averaging over $1 per month. So if you got something that's doing 80 cents a week, I mean, you're getting close to that $2 mark. All right. I said these pay weekly. So add the price per week, and then that would tell you what they pay per month. I said it could be $1.50 to $2. Uh, Doggy Cat says, praying for you, brother. I said fats 100. All right, let's get on to the next. See here. All right, Gary says, what is the next date that I can purchase ICOI and still receive the dividends? And I basically let him know that he had to purchase it before the 28th in order to get the dividends that are going to be paid out on the 1st or the 2nd. All right. Let's get the shorts. All right, let's see here. See if we're here. It's 9 days ago. All right, 7 days ago. He said, I warned you, saying it would hit six. He's talking about, I believe, Coney, I think. I said, I must say your prediction came true, my brother. If it was a cash account, I wouldn't have cared. If it had hit six, I would have been holding and adding for the long term. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't like the reverse split, so that would have caused me to probably abandon ship. But other than that, I wouldn't have sold single stock. I wouldn't have sold one single stock if it was in a cash account. My good friend Mike says, rebuilding back up, baby, strong. I'm barely holding on at between 7 and 10K profit left. When I saw 10K, 7 to 10K profit, I'm like, what are you sweating? You're up. But hey, everybody have different goals and agendas. All right, so I says, I said, brother, being up I didn't get 10K there, but that's what I was trying to do. I said, brother, being up 7 to 10K is not barely holding on. You're doing just fine, in my opinion. He said, thanks for the support, my brother. Them scary days of losing 3 to 5K at a time had me twisted up, nerve wracking when it gets close to losing any of your own money. Yep, it definitely nerve wracking. Yep, because everybody has a different goals and everybody has values their money different. So what 20,000 can be reckoned to one, 5,000 or 1,000 could be reckoned to another individual. All right. Jacker says that chart looks crazy, but will come again in the future. So better, more secure than not. So better, more security than not. I say yes, we'll get back there. I hate to take another 14 months to get back there, but I have more knowledge and understanding of these things uh, that I think I would do better going forward. All right. Oops, wrong one. Let's see here. Did I just do that one? All right. Code 77799 says, Coney, bro. I don't know if that's a cat or what. What is that? But anyway, he says, you are crazy. He got 3 likes. Dividend says crazy work. Then, crazy work. Them granted shares are about to wreck him too. Bitwise is crazy too. Wild chase of returns principle. I like saying this name here. Code 77799. I said, hopefully we'll have bullish market. Oh, he said, hopefully we'll have some bullish market and total turnaround without um returns without perform. Did I read it right? Total returns will outperform. Okay. All right. Seth says, I with everyone else the best in the conviction and choices as long as the inverse meets its goal. Let's see here. I said, yes, I have Coney. All right. Mike says, them New Year Max ones don't pay a dividend though, right? I heard they only plan to try and pay up to 25% annual growth. So I says, just testing waters. They pay weekly on Wednesday. Misty here seeks to generate consistent weekly income while maintaining meaningful exposure to the performance strategy income. Performance of strategy. The funds aim to balance the pursuit of income with the potential for NAV growth over time. The annual 25% target is not guaranteed, nor does it represent a 25% yield or a 25% total return. Mike says, "Oh, I feel you. Maybe a um, little my toes into Nvidia next if works out for you." I said, "Be careful, my brother. Don't follow my lead. Don't follow my lead. We see what happened. Um, what can happen when following that dude at YieldMax mindset, laughing out loud." He says, uh, we've made out like the bandits, if you ask me, overall, no regrets. Like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger says, reaching the first 100K is a and never invest what you can afford to lose. Sorry, I'm just seeing this, Mike. I've been away from the computer for a while, so I'm just seeing this. Um, he says, um, I've I've been waiting to get into dividends related ETF like Circle for a while now. Anyways, we ride or die investments, bro. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see here. Born says no more YieldMax shares. I say yes, I have YieldMax shares. A good friend Mike says Nvidia and Coney are very awesome picks. I got both, my dude. Tonight's dividends turn out to be better than I thought. The stock market is on its period week is over. I said I'm glad your dividends turned out better than expected. All right, let's see what we got here. Sniper Urus says, how do you feel about Bitto? I said it's down $25.31, 64% all time, like most of these ETFs. Packing Pocket Change Pro says, brother, at this point, is it worth having margin on? You were doing so well, and that crap messed you up. I don't know much about margin call based on what happened to you. I wouldn't be messing around with it anytime soon. I said margin itself didn't mess me up. I did it all by myself by using 80% of my margin, which wasn't, I supposed to have been saying, which wasn't a wise thing to do. Let me see if I can change that right here. Supposed to be saying wise, not why. Where is it at? Wise. Yep. Mm, where was I at? Which wasn't a wise thing to do. But hey, I knew the risk. I got too greedy and impatient. That at the near the end of the year. All right, my good friend Albert here, who always brings words of clarity and wisdom and knowledge. He says, "Please tell me you got rid of YieldMax, especially around um, the 15th of January. You don't want to hold any of them." And I'm not sure why he's referencing January the 15th as far as not holding on to any of these. I'm not sure what's going on. My good friend, the setbacker says, I told him so many times he holds some silly stocks. It's not his fault though. It's all these other people spreading misinformation about the stock and acting like they're going to make all this passive income. They're selling the dream. He says, I don't blame this guy either who wouldn't want easy passive income money and that earns 50% return on investment, laughing out loud. This guy and 99% of the other people really should just be investing in ETFs like VTI, SEHG, not D, and etc. They would be so much better off. This guy, this guy had like 83 at one point in July, and he's absolutely correct. And since then, the ETF like SEHG are up 10%. Meanwhile, he's down basically 45 to 50K after his distributions. Absolutely nuts how people fell for this too good to be given. Then they kept denying it like this guy did, saying that others didn't understand it and acting like they were high and mighty and knew more than anyone else. He said it was also cringe seeing people buying things like Play D, Coney, Misty instead of just buying an actual underlining, which makes substantial more gains with basically at the same downside. Even in this video, this guy still hasn't learned. He's holding AMYY, NVYY, and Coney. Like, bro, buy the freaking actual underlining. Laughing my butt off. I don't understand the logic here with these silly income funds straight that makes you less on your money. Hate to say it, we told you so, but hey, we told you so. He got one like there. I said I do have some YieldMax fund. Why was I was talking to other. I said thank you, man, for dropping your knowledge and sharing it with us. No one convinced me to get into these ETFs. That was a decision I made all on my own, um, and it's all my doing. Yes. All right. Ricardo says I think I might be better to trade options and sell uh, your own calls and put versus buying the high yield TS. Thoughts on that, pros and cons? Dave, the lender, says that's literally what these high yield ETFs do. Um, Except their ETFs don't seem to recover well with the underlining. Low key a scam if you know how to sell cover calls. So I guess it isn't a scam if you don't know how to sell cover calls, right? Just buy an underlying you believe in and collect your money weekly. monthly, quarterly, or however you want to do it. Ricardo said, exactly. If someone knows how to manage options, which I don't, the ETFs become more of a convenience product. They're good for beginners or small accounts, but for people who really know how to sell in premiums, doing it you're doing it yourself is almost always more efficient and profitable. I said I don't know how to do options. Uh, Craven Good says, "What kind of work do you do?" And I says, "Why do you ask this question?" He says, "Because you just made a massive loss and still going back with these high yield dividends that only go down. So I'm warning this guy gotta be a doctor or a lawyer or have some sort of high paying job because I'm making about 34K a year. And if I lost all that money, I would die. Look, I don't care. I don't care if I lost $1 trillion. I would never kill myself because money ain't worth none of it. Can't put a price on life. He says, but I get what he's saying though. He's not literally talking about that. I said, well, we're both making about the same amount, about 35K after taxes and deductions, of course. If you see my weekly portfolio review, you see that I've made 46,732 right now. But that's only because I haven't paid that much in taxes. On the loss part, I basically didn't lose any money, so to speak. The money I had was the money that I borrowed from RobinHood. Basically, I just gave it back and kept my initial capital. At least that's how I view it. It definitely wasted my time, but I've learned some things. Um, 2695 says, look into HOOW and AMDWNGOOW. I know this one has been, last I think I did that video, it had gotten up to $72. I'm like, wow. I said I missed getting into HOOW before it ran up this week on Robinhood. Um, code 77799 says, bro, it's gonna fly to the moon this week. Done missed it at YieldMaxMindset. He said, I agree with all three, Mr. Washington said. All right, let's get to our posts and we'll get to that Excel spreadsheet. Let's see here. Let's see here. 4 days ago. Let's go back one more then. Let's go here. 7 days ago. All right. All right. Dread says, stop throwing your money away at this trap. I think I did this one last week. Yep. All right, so let's move above that. So we here. 4 days ago, Dividend for Life says, thank you for the updates. No problem. Thank you for watching. Sway says, do you like PLTW? I said, why, yes, I do, sir. I also like these others as well. All right. All right. Quad 6 says, only two worth holding. That's CHP plus Winter for now. I said, interesting. I see more than just those two. I stay away from Winter because of the inverse. I ain't even tried to play it. But I think this is semiconductors. He said, Winter is the new king. I'm up 11%, over 2,000 in distribution in 1 month. This individual said, yep. I said, okay, I wouldn't call Winter the new king. All right. All right. Mike Lester says, think my next play will be to get a pile of CRCO on Tuesday. It's afternoon. I think he's what he's saying. He said on Tuesday after distributions. It pays well and it's super cheap. How about you, bro? Took me a while to figure out what HBR was. I said, oh, I think he's saying, how about you, bro? I says, do you mean ICRC from Bitwise or CRCO from YieldMax? I'm thinking of getting into ICRC. ICRC, yeah. He says YieldMax one pays more and costs nearly half the price. Plus, it pays weekly too. I said, you right. I ran the numbers. The total monthly payments are identical, but YieldMax costs $6.77 less per share. Pondering. Mike says, maybe we get a bit of both and see what happens. Dividend says that's crazy work. That is down 40% in 2 months. ICRC is down 50%. Like, how are these options for you? That is trash. Mike says low sell price, low sell high, baby. All investment is risky whether it pays dividends or not. The key is not to spend more than 5 to 10% worth of your portfolio on these types of funds. Wherever you're comfortable with to collect that free money. Then Mike goes on to says the dividend formula we use only works if 50% of your portfolio is already strong with core non-dividend players like Nvidia, Palantir, Hood, and etc. Balance is important. I agree. Because you never tell when the market decides to betray you. Like it did me. All right, this guy says doing the same gets you what? I said, we're going to find out. We're not exactly doing the same thing, but we're investing in high yield ETFs for sure. Let's see. I think that's it. Host. All right, so let's get to that Excel spreadsheet. I'm sorry, I got all out of sync here. All right, so let's touch this right quick. And this will be a short video. Well, still about an hour. All right, so our total passive income now sits for the year at 50,839. Our one check for this month is 4,106. That's because I paid out 2 weeks of vacation. Instead of taking 1 week off in this month, I decided to go ahead and use PTO time and pay out 2 weeks of vacation. So that's what you see here. All right, last week we had $3,566.95 with our dividends. That brought our dividend for the month of November to $3,621.90. All right, so our passive income now sits at $93,989.51. Our total income sits at $144,828.81. I guess it actually dumped since most of this has gotten wiped out. But we're going to go ahead and tally it that way, and we'll start over fresh at the beginning of the year for 2026. All right. So our active income is averaging 42.48. Passive income would or should be averaging 85.44, but we know that's not the case since all that is gone. But that's our track record for the year. Our prior margin balance was at $56,459. It's currently now at $64,717.81. All right. RobinHood goes at $55. RobinHood interest is at $38.61 for the year, averaging $351 a month. 401k is at $189 remaining for being paid off. So our total debt sits at $262,603. All right. So that's down from $310,263. All right. Total interest for the year is now sits at $26,573. Our Robinhood deposit is still $1,885.92. Our withdrawal sits at $11,502. I think I withdrew some money, some additional money. So this may be about $800. I forgot to tally that in. So I'll have to update that for next week for sure. All right. See here. All right. So this ICOI includes the portion that I sold off. but this is how much we collected so far in dividends, 4,297. I think that's a span of 2 months. And Misty is at $24,205. We are 93% away from getting our dividends. All right. So most of our dividends didn't pay on Friday because of the holiday. So a lot of them going to pay on Monday. So that's going to be our first dividend. Um, it's actually going to be in, well, I guess we need to actually still count that technically in the month of November. I'll try to remember that next week when I do that. Though the month dividends we're getting paid on Monday, most of that should be going here instead of going here, because technically it should have gotten paid in the month of November. But due to the holiday, it got pushed to Monday. All right. All right. I think that's it. I didn't prepare a lot for this video because of where I'm at and the situation. So, all right. So we're gonna call it a night. It's very late. Um, Still here at the hospital, but let's see if we can start the month of December off right with good investments and um, capital gain, dividend growth, passive income. Let's see if we can turn this ship around. Let's see if I can turn this ship around with the help of the Lord. All right. I hope the Lord will lead and guide me in the right direction on what to do so that I may prosper in all my things going forward. God bless you all. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed night. Have a blessed day. I'm out.